How to avoid chasing after an avoidant partner is what we will discuss today in this video. When you date an avoidant partner, regardless whether you have a secure attachment style or an anxious attachment style, you could end up sometimes feeling that you're the one always initiating. You're the one driving the conversation, asking about the project, asking about the future. In this video, I want to show you whether you're in a relationship with an avoidant partner or maybe you broke up with that person, to stop being in that phase of chasing, of driving things, because it's exhausting for you. And if you're watching this video, you know well enough that it's not working out. It doesn't really create the right foundation, the right space for you to have a healthy and secure relationship. I'm going to start understanding the avoidant partner. So first of all, I used to be avoidant. So if you have questions about being an avoidant attachment style, you're in the right place. And you can subscribe to watch other videos in this channel. So the thing is, avoidant partners, avoidant people, they value independence. They love to be self-reliant. When I have a problem, I will, by default, try to solve it myself. I will never ever ask anyone around me. This would be the old me. Now I'm trying to get better at this, but that's basically the belief system of avoidant people. There's also something around being vulnerable. If I show my weaknesses, if I express my fears, then I become vulnerable, which means I'm weak, and I don't want to come across as weak. So I'm going to really shield myself around vulnerability in relationship. And the problem is, if you want to have intimate relationship or emotionally connect with your partner, you have to be vulnerable. And it's very hard when you have an anxious attachment style, for instance, where you really crave those conversations, being with someone who simply doesn't have a clue and doesn't want to let go of this. So what happens is, when you chase an avoidant, that creates this sensation of I will feel overwhelmed if you're chasing me too much. I will feel like, hold on, they're invading my space. They're asking me things that I'm not prepared to answer, or that I'm not willing or not ready to answer, or it's just like I don't have the emotional bandwidth to deal with those things. And the protective mechanism in place for avoidance is to withdraw, is to leave the space, is to ask for space, is to disappear. Sometimes we feel like they rejected me, right? They asked for space, they dismissed me, they don't care basically. But you have to understand that if it's because of an attachment trigger, it's just a protective mechanism. So the way we deal with problems is by disappearing, right? From the partner's point of view, it feels like you don't care, you don't take me seriously. For me, kind of selfish avoidant, I want to protect myself and I don't want to have this difficult conversation right now, and I will disappear, I will dismiss, I will withdraw. So first of all is to assess in your situation whether their behavior is around attachment or feelings. And if you're not sure, have a look in the description. In this video, I'll put a lot of free tools and resources in the description, so have a look and answer the assessment, download the worksheets, have a look. I've made those tools just for you if you are confused, especially dealing with an avoidant. So why chasing makes things worse? Plenty of research shows that when you chase an avoidant partner, that trigger automatically this element of withdrawing. And so, as I said before, when you chase after them, you come across as needy, right? And for an avoidant person, I don't want you to need me, and I don't want me to need you. Okay, that's not a healthy way of looking at relationships, don't get me wrong, but that's where they come from. You know, I don't want you to depend on me and you depend on. I don't want you to depend on me and me depending on you. And so that creates this emotional gap of like, yeah, but I'm craving this. I want a relationship. I want you to depend on me. I want me to depend on you. Okay, it's really about finding the right balance. And so what you have to understand is, in those cases, avoidance, they need space to process emotion. The way they process emotion is very different. And so you need to understand that in order for them to process those information, they need a bit of space, they need a bit of time to re-engage on their own terms. So it's always a question of control. Especially if you want to get back with an avoidant partner, Sometimes you need to nudge, sometimes you need to take the lead, but they always need to feel in control. Because if you're forcing your way in, you're triggering, right, this element that I discussed before, and they will withdraw. And then you're going to be one step forward, two steps backward. So one thing that you should be doing now, regardless of your situation, is to develop strong emotional regulation skills. Because if you do, you will be able to reduce your anxiety and reduce any form of reactive behaviors, or in attachment theory, we call them protest behaviors. Where you say things that you regret, when you do things that afterward you feel like, oh, that might not have been the right response, because that's kind of the knee-jerk effect when we are triggered. When you are as an anxious partner or even a secure partner, when they ask for space and you just want to protest, you don't accept this, you create again the vicious circle that we discussed before. So it's about practicing and find what works for you. There's no one main thing that works for everyone. It's really finding what works for you. Could be self-soothing techniques, journaling, mindfulness, deep breathing. Also important to have a strong social support, whether it's friends, whether it's a therapist, whether it's family. It's important to have a platform where you can discuss about your emotions, where you can unpack those things if you can't do that with your partner. When you are calmer, when you are stress-free, you create that safe space. You can only connect with an avoidant partner, again, whether you're dating them or you're trying to get back with them, if you create a secure base, if you create a safe space where they feel they're in control, that you respect their need for space, and that you also, in a way, understand and match their sort of investment in terms of communication and what they're after in terms of intimacy. And then once you have that secure space, you can build something together. And so the point is to really break this cycle of anxious avoidance, this vicious circle that is very hard to let go of if you're not aware of your attachment triggers, of attachment style, of how your partner or ex behaves. So that's why I'm making those videos, for you to get this knowledge. Then you create that safe space. And if that person cares, if that person has feelings for you and has a little bit of empathy, you can work things toward having a healthy and more secure relationship. How you do it? With effective communication, obviously. So communication comes after understanding. So first of all, you need to understand yourself, understand your partner. Then you can work with communication. So obviously, use I statements rather than you do this, you said that. So starting from your point of view, I feel like this when you do this. Avoid ultimatums. Avoid any conversations that you might perceive emotionally charged or confrontational. They don't know how to deal with those, and they will reject this. And so if you're trying to create a conversation, start with low intensity conversation. Really superficial. Yes, that's not how you build intimacy, but you have to start there with them. And so things around, I love to connect more when you're ready. The point, and the reason I put like a little star is because, again, I have a guide, an entire guide to help you communicate with an avoidant partner. The point is to respect their boundaries and figure out, and because you have strong emotional regulation tools, figuring out a way to respect those boundaries. But also establishing your set of boundaries, the rules of the game, right? It's not about ultimatum here. It's about setting up the rules, setting up the things and expectations for the relationship. Also, the idea, especially if you have an anxious attachment style, is really about building a form of independence. Maybe it's something quite new for you and you have to do it, because you will never be able to have a healthy relationship if you don't have interdependence with your partner. So it's important as part of this work to develop self-worth with hobbies, goals, friendships. So these are kind of the basic tips that you would find online. You broke up with your partner, learn how to play tennis and find a new hobby. The thing is, the rationale of this is because that creates a sense, the sense of self-efficacy and sense of independence. Also helps as a distraction. But the idea is not so much about distraction, it's about like designing a life around your needs. Because perhaps for the first time ever, you will ask yourself like, what can I do for myself? How can I treat myself? How can I take care of myself? And when you create this balance, you will feel less the urge to chase for validation. The point in a relationship or after a breakup is to understand that, yes, this person is an important person, perhaps the most important person in your life, after you. You will always be the most important person in your life. So everything that you do in your life should be around you. Then you can have a relationship, you can have friends, but that needs to be around you, around your needs, around your expectations, your desires, around your values. This is your world, and people have to rotate around your world, revolve around your world. Also, which is kind of a nice effect to this, independence will make you seem more attractive to avoidant partner, because they'll feel like, oh, they don't depend entirely on me. So I don't feel that pressure anymore, right? And I don't feel that you're emotionally reliant. Therefore, I can see a future with you. I can see things working out, because otherwise it's too much pressure for me. And remember that a healthy relationship is really about two individuals, right? If you're trying to get back with your ex, if you're trying to have a healthier relationship with your partner, it's about also their investment. So yes, you're doing the work, you were watching this video, but at some stage, as you do the effort, you need to also assess whether they are making an effort. Because if it's only a one-sided dynamic, it's not going to work out. Either you're going to force your way in, it's not going to be sustainable, or you're going to end up in a relationship that's not what you need and what you want. Which is like, very often I see that people, they get back with their exes, they follow all my tips, etc. And then down the line, they figure like, that's not what I need. That's not what I want. And so it's really about reflecting on those things as you try to develop the relationship with your partner. Another element is recognize and break the cycle. So when you are in that mindset of chasing, withdrawing, that creates that toxic loop that we want really to get rid of. So right now, what I want you to do is to reflect, maybe pause this video, take a piece of paper, reflect whether you're chasing to avoid addressing your own insecurities. Is it because of them? Is it because of your love, of the feelings? Is it because of the situation? But try to assess, look at your insecurities, your belief system, your fears. As you're doing this, it's really about finding the balance, taking that step back. I see that some people, they are either in two extremes. Either they feel like, oh, I'm such a loser, it's entirely my fault, I never find anyone, they have put their ex or their partner on the pedestal, or they're the other extreme. They're narcissistic people, they're manipulative, they're never gonna find anyone, I'm wasting my time. And so it's just finding the right balance, knowing again about attachment style, knowing again that most of their behaviors are really down to protective mechanism, the same way you react in a certain way because of your belief system, because of your fears. The point here is to find that mutual connections. It's not to focus on short-term fixes. And if you want short-term fixes, you're in the wrong place, unfortunately. I don't know how to do it. And I don't think that's the right way to consider relationships. So most of the relationship or the people I help have been in long-term relationships. And it's really about how you can leverage these times together, but also the reason I'm really, it's not a niche, but I'm really helping people with long-term relationships is because I know that it's something where you have a bit of time to invest, to reflect. When you have a history with someone, when you project also yourself with this person for the next 10, 20 years, you're not so much into I need to speak with them this week. I need them to answer to my text next week. right? That's really a question of like, okay, hold on. Maybe this is a phase. And this is a, bumpy road phase in our life where let's pause. Let's take a break, a healthy break. Because like most of the people, when they break up after a meaningful relationship, it's really to take a break from the relationship, being able to reflect and reassess the next life stages. And of course, being in a relationship and the partner you're with is a very important part of your life, of your next life stage. And so that's the whole point here, is to recognize those patterns, stepping outside of those on and off, those mixed signals, this vicious circle, and figure out ways and tools to connect, to create that right, not that right, but that secure and safe space. Now, there are times where you have to step back, when you have to realize they're simply not right for me. Because if you're dating someone avoidant, who consistently cannot meet your needs, cannot pay attention or show enough empathy to understand where you're coming from, they are not the right person for you. You have to understand that regardless of attachment style, a healthy relationship always involves compromise. You don't want to be, as I said before, in a relationship where you're the one compromising on your values, on your boundaries. The point here is to step back and realize and assess their reaction. So this step back, and it really depends on the situation. Depends on whether you broke up with them, whether you're in touch with them, whether you've been together, etc. for a long time. The point is going into contact, taking a step back, create a dynamic where next move is on them. Especially if you've been initiating. And so the point is assessing also their intention, their investment, their interest. A relationship should be based on trust, obviously, but also mutual effort. If you're the only one making the effort, you're wasting your time, right? It's important because sometimes as we want to save the relationship, we fail to recognize that we are the only one making the effort, that we are the only one trying to fix or discuss things. And if that's the case, that's not the right relationship for you. If you want to assess your relationship, have a look. There's an assessment, a free assessment in the description. If you have any question about your situation, don't hesitate to message me or comment on this video. And if you like this video, don't forget to click on like, and I'll see you next time. Take care.